So I have a quadratic formula here. And the way I know this is a quadratic formula, or quadratic equation, I should say, is I have this w squared term. That squared means quadratic. And as soon as you see a quadratic, you want to be doing one of these three methods I have listed over here on the right. First of all, can we use the square root method? Okay, well, the square root method is only if you see a single variable. And if you look what I've got here, I've got variable, variable, right? There's variables all over the place in this thing. So the square root method, not so great. Next step, let's try factoring. And that's actually what we're going to go for in this problem because the factoring is going to work. If I were to try the factoring and it failed, then I would have to go down here to the quadratic formula. That's like your last ditch option. But we're going to do factoring on this thing. And the first step is to put it in what's called standard form. Standard form means there needs to be an equal 0 on one side. So which side gets the 0? Do I want the 0 on the left or do I want 0 on the right? Right? That's the question right here. And what I like to do is I like to look for my w squared term, that quadratic, and I want that thing to be positive. Okay, now yours might be on the left, it might be on the right, but just make sure it's positive. And if it's not positive, you have to switch it over to the other side. So what this means is I'm going to want to keep things on the right side so that w squared stays positive. And what I'm going to need to do is anything that's not on the right side, I got to add it over there. So, or subtract. So that means I'm going to do a minus 29 on both sides and a plus 11w on both sides. And now we're going to add this up and see what we get. So first of all, you see these cross out, right? That's 0. And then I had these carried over terms, the plus 11w and then the minus 29. And we calculate what that's going to be. I'll do that on the line below this. So it's like you're adding these up. So we've got a 0 on the left. We've got 2w. And that looks like a minus 15 and a plus w squared. Okay, so that looks a lot nicer. I've got an equals to 0, but it's not yet in the standard form, right? My standard form says not just equal to 0, but you want to have the big terms on the left. So that's going to look more like this. W squared plus 2w minus 15. See, now I'm going down in exponents. I'm not going to go over the whole how to factor procedure here. I think you guys have done factoring a bunch before. You should have anyway. Factoring is what gives you these sorts of equations with the parentheses. And you can guess. I would prefer to do the big X method, but you can guess. And that's going to turn out to be, in this example, let's see. Let me try guessing. I can say w of minus 5, w minus 3. Obviously, that's wrong because minus 5 times minus 3 gives plus 15. Well, one of these has to be positive, and I'm going to pick the plus 5 to be positive. That way, when I add those two numbers, plus 5 and minus 3, I get my plus 2. Now, from each of these, we get a small little equation, and that's going to be w plus 5 equals 0, and w minus 3 equals 0, which we solve. And that's going to be very quick. We just add the 3 over, and we subtract the 5 over. So now I have two solutions, and that's typical when you have a quadratic. You often get two solutions. It's possible to only get one, but usually you'll have two. Negative 5 and positive 3.